What's up, guys? Saf here on SuperSaf Speaks, and welcome to episode 39 of the podcast with myself, your host, SuperSaf, and my co-host,
Thunder E from Board at Work.
He always has a bit of a thing. So, what am I today?
Yeah.
So today he's Thunder E from Board at Work. So we've got lots to talk about today. There have been some leaks about a potential Samsung Galaxy Z Fold Special Edition, which is quite exciting. We've already got some early leaks of the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. I mean, it's still a good few months away, but it's already leaking time. Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, which we've both been using for about a month now. There was a bit of TeamPixel controversy, which we'll also be touching on. And then, of course, AppleEvent Rumour Round-up. So that's next week, which both myself and E will be at, hopefully. So there's a lot to talk about. Going to start off with, firstly, we've got some news, haven't we, Enabong?
Yes, we do. I am a father now. Yes. So that is the latest update in my life. We're blessed with a beautiful baby boy, and he's healthy, he is strong, he's crying, he's eating, and the boy is sleeping. So it's all good.
He's living the life, eating,
yes,
sleeping, and just chilling. But yeah, huge congrats to you and the missus. It's lovely news. And I mean, the main question is when is he going to be editing videos?
Editing? I don't think his mom's going to let him edit. I think she said he might star. She's looking to fire me off the channel real quick.
It's like Board at Work Junior or Thunder E Junior. But no, huge congrats to you guys. And also congrats to the channel, because we've just passed 50,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, SuperSaf Speaks. So a huge thanks to everybody that subscribed. And also, Enabong, huge thanks to you, my co-host, who it wouldn't have been possible without, man.
Look, this has been a joint effort. It's been fun. I'm glad people are watching and checking out the channel. Stay tuned. There will be more coming up. We've got some exciting things. I'm sure there'll be more interviews where Saf would ditch me and go interview other people. But it's been great. It's been a fun ride, though. Seriously.
It has. And one thing that when we restarted this podcast earlier this year, we were kind of talking about how you can't take a break on YouTube, right? And I would say, I just want to clarify that I think, we kind of contradicted that to an extent, because we took about a 1.5 year break on YouTube on this channel, right? And we didn't upload pretty much anything, just a few shorts here and there. But coming back after a 1.5 years, we've been somewhat consistent. We've been consistent. We went for a program that was a bit more achievable, doing once a month instead of once a week. And that has been something we've been able to keep consistent. The growth, it took a little bit of time to kind of get back into the flow of things, but it's fully up, on theme to carry on growing. And, we're super grateful. So thank you to everybody. So we're going to begin things with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold Special Edition. Now, serial leaker Evan Blass has basically tweeted, I'm not going to say it because this is a PG podcast, but he said, F the Galaxy Z Fold 6 Slim, F the Galaxy Z Fold 6 Ultra, holla Galaxy Z Fold Special Edition. Now, all we have is just an image where he's kind of posted what appears to be the thickness of the device, which is actually thinner compared to the Z Fold 6. So it's around 4.9 millimeters thin when it's unfolded and around 10.6 millimeters thin when it's folded. Comparing that to the Fold 6, which is 12.1 millimeters when it's folded and 5.6 millimeters when it's unfolded, right? Mm-hmm. And also we have the specs of the screen. So the cover screen is supposed to be 6.5 inches and the folding screen is supposed to be 8 inches. So again, that is quite a bit larger compared to what we have on the Z Fold 6. So it's going to have a different aspect ratio. And it seems like it will still be supporting the S Pen. So that's good. I don't think it's going to be embedded, right? Now, if you just rewind back a couple of weeks ago, I did my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 review, and I kind of basically, my conclusion of that was we need an ultra device, right? We need something that's got a wider screen. We need something that's thinner and, all of these things that we were talking about. And it looks like Samsung has listened.
We're not on Samsung's payroll, guys. Just to let you know, even though we predict these things, it's just not. It's not in the cards yet. But I kind of like what I'm seeing here. Although some people have also said that with this dimensions, it doesn't look like it's that much bigger. But then again, most people don't realize that with the Z Fold 6, it doesn't take too much to actually meet the standards that we're looking for. Remember how we talked about we just need an extra 3 millimeters width for the cover display, which going to 6.5 might actually get us there if it's not too diagonal, you know. You know, the Pixel 9 Fold is super thin. If you put it side by side with the Z Fold 6, it's not off by much. Just something to bear in mind. So I think these are exciting to me. It's just, you know, we have to see what it comes out. But I think the bigger question here, though, is this a direct result of what the head of Samsung overall came out and stated? Because remember, he came out and said he didn't like the fact that Samsung was kind of just following Apple, copying Apple. That was kind of, you know, the general statement that had come out. He didn't like the lack of innovation. And again, we've seen, you know, Pixel, we've seen companies like Xiaomi and Honor making, you know, super thin foldables. So maybe this is part of what the team is like, hey boss, we got stuff, just bear with us, type of thing.
No, it's not that. It's purely as a result of my video. Even though making these devices takes months, if not years of you know, planning beforehand, I'm still going to take credit for my video that came out a few weeks ago. I'm going to say they watched my video and they were like, okay, Saf said that we need a Fold Ultra or something, so let's make a special edition. I'm joking.
Yes,
obviously,
yes.
I think that's part of it. What you're saying about with the CEO, and I just think that the competition is just fierce right now, right? So maybe they kind of had this already planned, thinking, okay, we'll have a special edition and we'll kind of have this ready based on the feedback that we get with the Z Fold 6, right? And then based on the feedback they've got, obviously they've already got it prepared. So we don't really have any dates right now, but I'm assuming in the next couple of months we might be hearing something solid. I personally am very excited for this because that's something that I can see myself using as a daily driver, shall we say, right? If it's got that cover screen, that's, you know, you know, the few things, cameras we don't know much about, I'd still like at least the primary camera to match what we've got on the S24 Ultra. Again, the battery, maybe because it's going to have a wider aspect ratio, maybe it'll have a bigger battery. We'll see. But very exciting, and I'm definitely looking forward to the Z Fold 6 Special Edition. And we'll be covering more leaks as they come.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think this is a very clear result of just competition, but also, like you said, Samsung probably has these designs in the works. I think Samsung, just over the last couple of years, people have not realized they've gone to an operations mindset. People will say they're copying Apple, but what does Apple do? Apple is run by an operations style CEO where smaller iterations, because it cuts costs. It's very simple. If your chassis is still the same and you don't have to redesign or change that, you know, then you can continue with that. You know, you can change the camera hub section, but again, it's still going in the same square, or at least the same framework that you're working with.
Yeah, so this is the thing. I mean, it's and then that would hopefully give it some serious competition because, you know, we do have some real contenders, as you mentioned. So let's see. Now, the next one we have leaked for Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Now, you know, we saw the S24 Ultra in January, and we're likely to have the S25 Ultra in January 2025, but we've already started seeing leaks. Now, the main kind of renders have, and, you know, information has come from Ice Universe, who is a serial leaker, and like, he's generally pretty accurate. And, you know, there's some renders with the Tech Avenue, I'm not sure how you actually pronounce it, alongside Ice Universe. And the renders there, what we see is a much more boxier design. So like with the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, yes, it's a boxy design, and, you know, Samsung got rid of the curved display this year, but the sides are still a little bit kind of rounded, but it looks like they're going to be going full on flat. And that's a trend that we're seeing these days. I mean, from what I'm seeing, it does look pretty good. It looks like we've got smaller bezels as well. And according to Ice Universe, the S25 Ultra will be the thinnest and lightest of all Ultra flagship phones to be released. And that includes the iPhone 16 Pro Max as well as the Pixel 9 Pro XL. So Bit more of a compact design. It will still have the same size battery though, 5,000 milliamps. But I mean, if it's thinner and lighter and it still has the same battery, that's pretty good. Same charging as well is what Ice Universe is saying, 45 watts. So that's something I know a lot of people will probably be, some people will be a little bit annoyed about. I think 45 watts is just about okay. I think it's it does the job. But yeah, I mean, looking like it's going to be quite a nice and exciting upgrade that is going to be coming, I mean, just in a few months' time.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like it, but also, again, there's a side of me that goes like, it looks the same. Bear with me here. Again, this is part of that like operations where you can fine tune around the device. But I do like that because at least it's giving a different look. We don't know how the camera hump will look like at the back, how it's going to change, what kind of cameras we're getting in that regard. I do like the fact that it's thinner. One thing that I really appreciate with the Pixel is the build quality of the Pixel. It feels really solid, and compared to the Galaxy, there's nothing wrong with the Galaxy, just when you hold it next to each other, it feels a little bit different. Granted, it's going to be lighter, and I really want to see, what I would love to see is something new from the S Pen. I know it's hard, just because to justify the use of the S Pen, because a lot of people I'm hearing from, at least a lot of my audiences, I like the S Pen, but I don't really use it as much. That there are certain things I just don't use on there as much.
Okay, so I'll tell you when I started using the S Pen a lot on my Fold, right, we're using sketch to image, right? Because that was just something that, so I would say my average usage on the S Pen on my S24 Ultra is maybe once a week, yeah, just roughly. It's not accurate specific, but sometimes I'll use it twice in 1 week, sometimes I won't use it at all, right? That's kind of my usage, right? But on my Fold, when I was using sketch to image, because it was just something that's quite fun and cool to use, I was using it pretty much every other day, right? Just popping out the S Pen, just doodling, and that's something that I did like. So I think if they have more sort of usable features like this on the S25 Ultra, then I think that will kind of justify the use of it a little bit more.
I mean, yeah, that I agree. I think that makes the most amount of sense. But honestly, the designs are very welcome, and we just have to wait and see. But I think next year might be a design renaissance for Samsung, just because, not because of what we were expecting or waiting, but I think just because the CEO is like, guys, you need to step it up.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also like the challenge there, right? Because you've got a smartphone which is essentially a block, right, of metal and glass, right?
Yeah.
And then how much can you kind of innovate in that area? How different can you make it look, right? I personally love the S21 Ultra design. That was my favorite one from Samsung in recent times. And then they kind of went for this more sort of simplified, the 3 triple ring design and stuff, which is nice, don't get me wrong, but we've had it for the S22, the S23, S24. And it's just like, I did prefer the S21 Ultra. It just looked a bit more unique, something a bit more different.
No, I agree. I think S21 Ultra was pretty nice. One thing I would like to see also is kind of them stealing from Google. As much as I used to make fun of that unibrow at the back, putting it on a flat surface is golden. It stays.
It doesn't rock about.
It doesn't rock about at all, which is pretty nice to have. If you have like a flat charging surface, it might be good just because you can actually wedge it properly or what have you. But I think this is something that is just needed for Samsung. Samsung has to show some of that diversity of design. This year we've got the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, which everyone, very similar to AirPods. We have the watch, which even though it doesn't look similar, just because of the color branding they picked, everybody says it's similar. So there's all that stuff that they need to kind of wash out. And then you have the Fold, which is similar from the last 3 Folds in general.
Exactly.
So, yeah, they need to definitely do some stuff.
I mean, that brings us on nicely on to the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. We're also going to be covering the Google Pixel 9 and the 9 Pro, but the one I've been using primarily and the one I'm sure you've been using primarily is the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. Now, let me just say that I have always been a fan of the visor design, right? Because it's very unique. You don't see anything else like it. So we've had it for the past few generations. Now, Google understandably wanted to, change things up because it's been the same design, relatively speaking, for the past 3 years. So now they've gone for a similar visor, but it's kind of like this cutout, which, again, I actually like, right? Now, because of its flatter edges, a lot of people are comparing it to the iPhone. They're saying, okay, Google's going, iPhone style with all of the flat edges and stuff. I mean, as I said, there are only so many ways that you can redesign a block of glass and metal, pretty much what it is. One thing I will say is, I don't know why Google have done this, but like, so they've gone for a matte finish on the back of the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but with a glossy frame. And the Pixel 9 has a glossy back with a matte frame. Now, me personally, I would like matte on matte, right? Okay, I just get lots of fingerprints and smudges over the frame. And we also saw, like, you know, Apple obviously went for the matte finish with the titanium with the iPhone 15 Pro Max last year. And even the Pixel Fold, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, it has a matte back with matte frame. You know, matte all over is the way to go, I think. I think they kind of have this, you know, this sort of glossy look to kind of make it look a bit more premium. But I think in actual fact, after you use it for a few days and you have all these smudges and fingerprints, it looks less premium than a matte finish.
What color do you have again?
I have is it what would you call it?
The pearl white? Porcelain, yeah. I mean, I guess I haven't really paid attention to the fingerprints on the. I know it will show more in the black version, yeah, but I mean,
I don't know. I say matte on matte. So that's the first thing with the design. I like the design. I like the visor, but in my opinion, matte on matte. Would you agree?
Okay. I mean, yeah, I agree. Matte on matte makes the most amount of sense. I do like the updated visor here. It reminds me of Cyclops from X-Men more and more. But I think design overall is pretty solid. I get the comparisons to the iPhone, but as Saf said, I mean, if you guys want to compare, go ahead and design a phone and show me something different, and then, you know, we can go from there. This thing,
it's tough.
Yeah, I think what I do appreciate is the premium feel to it. I'm not saying the finish might be premium or not. So when you hold it, it feels like, okay, I've got something pretty solid on here. One thing about the Pixel 9 Pro XL is, that I do like, is that it's, even though it's bigger, it's not as big as the Note. For me, which is fine, because the Note, I still like that size, but it just feels a little bit more comfortable for people who might want to get above the Pixel 9 Pro and want something slightly bigger, but not too big, you know, in terms of design. The other thing that I think is quite appreciative is some of the camera features, you know, some of those AI camera features, which I'm sure we will see on other Android devices down the line. You know, like the Add Me, which is, you know, which if you're lonely, you can create yourself as friends in a photo, or you know, those kind of things I think are pretty nice features. But it kind of brings up that main question: is what is a photo anymore? You know, we've talked about it before, and I think Marquez has talked about it. Like, every time you take a photo on a smartphone, it's already not really the photo you took because there's so much processing in the background. Now that you're inserting yourself into a photo wherever you can, is that really a photo?
While on the features of, like, so for example, Add Me, I think that's a brilliant feature. I mean, there's been lots of situations where, you know, just literally the other day, we just Google photo memories. My niece shared a picture of the family and she was just like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm the one bloody taking the photo." That's why I'm not in the photo, you know what I mean? And I was like, you know what, if you had the Add Me, again, you don't have to carry a tripod around, you don't have to take an awkward selfie, you just do that. And you know what, I'd say results are 9 out of 10, I would say, right? They're not perfect. Yeah. Obviously, if you pixel peep, you're going to see maybe some issues here and there. But generally speaking, the results are very usable and they're very, very good, right? And I think that's something that's a really, really good feature. And, you know, like reimagine, okay, I think that's a bit of like, you know, like where you can literally change the sky, you can change all of these things in a picture, and then that really tells you what is a photo. Now, with this, I've kind of found that, you know, depending, certain situations it can work really well, certain situations it can be like, okay, it's not doing the best job here, it's a little bit off here, but it is quite fun to use, right? But the other AI features like Pixel Studio, okay, you can just generate images on the fly, right? Now this, personally, I found myself, I used it for a little bit. I just like generate, I was like, T-Rex on Mars roaring, right? Okay, and then it's like, boom, and it's like, this is so cool, right? And then you do it for a bit, and then after a bit, you just kind of like, okay, cool. It's just how much will you use it, right? Okay, yes, it's fun to do here and there, but it's not something that I would use personally on a daily basis, but it's fun, it's different. You've got other AI features like obviously video boost. When you're taking videos, it kind of like processes it in the cloud and just makes it pop a lot more. It gives it a lot, you know, dynamic range boost and stuff. That's again brilliant. But my question is, here's the thing, because like a lot of these Pixel features come out and then maybe a few months or even a year later, they kind of roll out to other devices, because a lot of this stuff happens in the cloud, right? A lot of this processing and stuff happens in the clouds, which means technically you don't need a powerful device to do it. You could just have any device. So like, for example, Magic Eraser on Google, right? Now you've pretty much got it on, you know, any device that has Google Photos app on there, right? You can go in and you can edit, right? And what was funny as well is like last year, you know, when you had Best Take, that's something that I actually didn't find myself using at all. Like I was like, oh, this is cool, but then I just didn't use it, right? But I was doing it on pictures that I had taken on my iPhone, basically. So then I had pictures in my archive like that I'd taken the iPhone, and I was like, oh, okay, I can just go into the Google Photos app and I can just do it. So you don't necessarily have to take it on a Google phone, right? Okay. And this is where it's like, okay, you know, because a lot of the AI features that they were showing, or some of the AI features they were showing on the actual keynote, they were on the Samsung. So it's just like, okay, this is cool, but how long is this going to stay just a Pixel only feature? And, you know, are we going to get it on others? I think we will.
No, I agree. I think it's going to come really soon. I think at least the first sign we'll see will be the S25. You know, they're going to have a bunch of features where if they want to maybe rebrand a certain feature that they like, kind of like circle to search. Remember, that's been a feature technically on Pixel devices. It wasn't really a circle feature, but they reframed it, and you know, now everybody knows it because it's on the Samsung device, right? And I think that's what's going to happen. But to me, what this tells me, and I think we talked about this, like, you know, off camera, was that I feel like this is the beginning of the end of the Pixel, especially just the fact that at the Pixel event, you had them showing demos on Samsung devices, on Motorola Razr devices of, you know, a lot of these AI features before they announced the Pixel. I found that really odd for a Pixel. You're inviting people to a Pixel event, and then you're not even showing it on the, you know, Pixel 8 or Pixel 7, right? You could show it on previous devices, but you're showing it on that. And to me, that says, is Google telling us that maybe the Pixel becomes this launch of just early, and then it's like, you know, we're flowing to other devices immediately and less focus on the Pixel, and it might just be a much more condensed. I don't know. I'm just speculating here.
I don't know. I mean, there's two sides to that, I think, right? Because there's firstly, I agree that is quite odd, like for them to do that and show what the device is at their keynote, right? Now, I think there's one or two things. One is either that eventually they're going to retire the Pixel line, right? Okay, maybe the Pixel 10 will be the next Pixel, the last Pixel. I don't know, but the other side, which I think is most likely, is that they're trying to show, because look, Google at the end of the day is a software company, right? Okay. And they want to show off these features, and they want to kind of say that, hey, look, these features are also on other devices, right? Because they want to push those features. However, the Pixel is kind of the one that all of these work on, and they're like, this is the showcase. And then you start seeing them roll across all of these other devices and stuff like that. Plus, the other thing is Gemini Live, right? Okay. Yeah. It's a subscription service, right? It's going to be a subscription service. How much is it? Like $20 a month or something like that?
20,
right?
Yeah, $20. Okay.
Now, again, I think this is something that they also want to push, because guess what makes you more money than just let me sell you this device for this much, goodbye, you know, all good. Nah, you know, it's 2024. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry, whoever it is trying to put you into a subscription because they want a consistent income, right? They want you to keep, you know, I've got some plugins on my Adobe suite, right? Which I only use as like, I don't want any updates on this whatsoever. I just want what I have right now. I don't care if you're going to have new effects or anything. I don't want them. But guess what? The only thing I can do is a subscription. It's just like, I hate the whole subscription model. But guess what? That's just the way things are going, right? That's just the way things are going. Now for Pixel, like Google in general, I think they're going to go down this route of, okay, we're still got this Pixel and stuff, but if they've got millions of other people from all these, their ecosystem of Android subscribing and giving $20 a month, right? That is a huge boost of revenue. So I think that's one of their areas. That's what they're trying to push.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think that is a mainstay for it. I still feel that Google should go back the Nexus route, but do it something slightly different. The reason why I'm saying that is that Google can do two things to not raise cash, but get a lot of revenue. You're going to have companies like Xiaomi and Honor and the rest of them, and Oppo, pay to be a Nexus device because that brings them to the US. right? Not Nexus, but a Pixel device. But I think you should do it where it's every 2 years. Xiaomi makes the whatever Pixel. It's a something Pixel, whatever they want to call it, right? And it's that Pixel device for the year. They can still showcase all the features, and then it rolls out to everybody afterwards at the end of the day, which allows Google to stop making hardware, right? That's a cost away, because right now they're still losing money off hardware. They can still push and they can still handle all the software for the device and go like, look, guys, we're doing this, but it has to be a Pixel, because now they've got a tighter control over Android in a way where all the features are siphoned through them and then out to the partners, unlike before. So this allows you to do that constantly and then have something fresh every year. But what that does is it makes your competitors, or at least the other Android manufacturers, spruce up. Samsung can't be lax anymore. If Xiaomi can come into the US, make a Pixel, and then Samsung's like, ooh, snap. Because, Xiaomi will bring whatever cameras they have. Google's like, oh, we have the processing, and we do it. I think that would, to me, would make the most sense, but also allows you to keep that subscription, but also might help them push that subscription to other markets. Not necessarily China, but at least Xiaomi is also big in, Southeast Asia, other parts where, somebody will readily buy a Xiaomi phone over just a Pixel, right? Or at least there's a competition to Samsung, and okay, now that subscription can now go to those markets. Of course, it will be a different price point. It might not be 20, it might be slightly less or subsidized, but at least they start pushing, because the main thing is if you can have more devices that have that subscription that at least carry the core brand name, then it furthers what Google wants to do. But, again, this is advice that is free. If you guys want us to help you run your company, we can do it. Just saying.
I personally don't think that's going to happen, but not soon.
No,
I think they're still going to. My opinion, I think they're still going to stick to the Pixel. I just think that they're trying to do a different model where they're kind of trying to get subscriptions from all of the other brands, which is why they're showcasing the features on other devices as well, just to kind of show that off. Now with Gemini Live, it is good. Like on a conversational model, it's actually quite good. I just think that sometimes it's a bit overconfident in some answers and they're completely wrong. And I still think that's just the case with a lot of AI. But generally speaking,
have you used Gemini, and have you found that it can correct itself? Because that's the one thing I did like with ChatGPT, and I experienced it. I've experienced it live with like my wife and other people, and even that bartender, where he understands English, but he can't really speak English well. And he said something, and he started saying it. He's like, and I said, ChatGPT, why did you say that? And he went back, and he just immediately corrected without saying, I'm correcting myself. And then he was like, yeah, this is much better. So.
Okay.
That I found really interesting.
I've not experienced that yet, but I mean, it is good. Would I pay $20 a month for it? Probably not. If I'm honest with you, for the Gemini Live and stuff, I probably wouldn't right now anyway in its current form. But it is pretty interesting. Now let's talk about some of the other elements of the Pixel, because it is although the kind of focus is on AI, but there are other things. I think the display is really good. Beautiful, brighter. It's the bezels, the uniform. It's really good. But I think the biggest thing that I personally like is the fact that we've now got an ultrasonic fingerprint scanner instead of optical. We've had optical fingerprint scanners on the Pixel for the past few years, and although they're okay, they're not the fastest out there. And it's just sometimes it won't read your fingerprint. You have to do it a few times. Whereas the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, which we've had on Samsungs for many years now, it's the best. And it's just quick, fast, accurate. Doesn't brighten the screen up if you're trying to unlock your phone at night. It's just because it's using ultrasonic waves. It's not using light, which optical fingerprint scanners use, right? That's it. The only thing I would say is it's just the screen needs to be awake for you to use it, which is a kind of annoying. On the Samsung, you can just press it. That area you can just press whenever and it just unlocks, right? Okay, so that's something that I don't know if they can do that with the software update, but that's something that I would expect and want.
No, I agree. I think for me, what I do like is I do like the display. I think the display is really solid. I like the battery life, at least just from the uses I've seen. The battery life has been very consistent on here. And I have a better appreciation for the gaming. Just hear my words, better appreciation for the gaming performance. I think it's gotten better, but it's still nowhere close.
Okay, so that's one of the things that obviously you being the gaming expert could see. With me, I game very little on a smartphone, right? So when it comes to performance, in the day-to-day, let's be honest, Tensor G4, absolutely fine, right? Okay?
Yeah.
You're not going to have any issues going through your apps, having multiple apps running in the background, things like that. It's all well and good, right? The issue I find is, when you are really pushing it and when you compare it to the flagship out there, which is the 8th Gen 3, right? What do you think? Like, what would be your verdict on the performance of the Tensor G4?
It's 2 generations behind. I mean, if you run the benchmarks, you clearly see that it's close to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, and the GPU difference is staggering. Remember, it's like back in the days when you used to do GPU tests between iPhone and Android devices, and they were so big. Now it's kind of the same here. And yes, you will see that when you're pushing, even just on certain tasks, because you don't have that GPU there to just kind of help push things along. In terms of gaming, you can play most of your games on here fairly well. The one game that, of course, that immediately just starts running lower is Genshin Impact. You try to play at 60 frames per second. It just, as soon as you start it up, it goes straight to like 32 to 40. It doesn't even pretend to go to 60. It's just like, I can't do it.
So no, I give up.
Yeah, but if you're playing just most normal games, you can play it on here fine. So it's not a thing. The vapor chamber is actually pretty decent on there, but I also think it throttles down a little bit, which is why you don't see higher temperatures in that regard. But I think it's one of those, like, most people who are buying the Pixel are not buying for gaming, but if they're going to game, they're not going to be hardcore gamers anyway. So your gaming experience is fine. I think the one thing you are right is that they need to get some of that performance balance when you're pushing and just trying to do a lot of things on the device. Because even though they talk about AI and they've talked about on-device AI, at least for the last 2 years, on-device AI, Snapdragon has beaten them every single time. Even this year, I'm sure it's probably going to be the case. And they do a lot on the cloud. A lot of the AI activities is definitely pushed to the cloud. Which to me, it's like, okay, then why make the chip? That's my own concern. Is like, why do this when it's on the cloud?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why the Tensor G4 maybe isn't as powerful as others is because it's like, hey, we're going to do other stuff in the cloud anyway, so what's the point? Maybe, I don't know. But you were saying one of the reasons why Pixel users buy the Pixel is not necessarily for gaming, but one of the things they do buy the Pixel for is the cameras, right? And my experience with cameras, very good. They have the processed Pixel look, right, which we've talked about before. I personally like it. I like that processed Pixel look. It's like sharp, lots of dynamic range, and they're really punchy pictures, which I personally like. Some people kind of find that they're a little bit too over-processed. The zoom camera as well, you've got the 5x telephoto zoom camera, really good. Overall, I would say very good cameras, right? Okay, and the selfie camera as well, you've got the high resolution, so it's quite sharp. I find the Pixel tries a bit too hard to try to get skin colors accurate, where it kind of does things which don't look pleasing, because especially if I take a picture with the sunlight in the background, it kind of gives me a very grayish look, right? Which might be accurate based on the situation, but it's kind of like, yeah, but I don't want my pictures, I don't want to look gray in the pictures, right? You know what I mean? Like, do something to balance that out. So that's one thing that I found. But other than that, I think camera is very, very good. A lot of people have been asking me, Saf, where are the camera comparisons? Well, here's the thing. I've been in a bit of a dilemma because, see, the Pixel has come out, right? Now, full disclaimer, I have been doing some sponsored content with Google. So, I've had some sponsored Pixel content. So I didn't want to do a review per se, because that's something that I was working on alongside. But I did want to do some comparisons. Now, you have to remember that traditionally Pixels come out in October, right? So that's after the iPhone. So then you've got brilliant. Okay, because most people want to see how the Pixel compares to the iPhone. I've done comparisons of the Pixel versus the Samsung, and not that many people are interested, between that comparison. The comparison they want to see is the Pixel versus the iPhone. Now, the problem I've had is that the Pixel has come out before the iPhone this year. So it's kind of like challenging. So if I was to compare the Pixel to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is going to be replaced in a matter of weeks, right? So it's not really worth my while doing a camera comparison which is going to be out of date in like a matter of weeks, right? So hopefully once the iPhone is out, we will be doing lots of camera comparisons of the iPhone versus the S24 Ultra, as well as versus the Pixel. So just a disclaimer out there, because a lot of people have been like just saying, Saf, where is it? It's like, chill. Patience.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, baby's been here, so of course, not really making content like that. But I will be making my famous black test come the iPhone launch. And Sam is laughing over there,
Yep.
like, excuse me, what? But that's a good comparison, and you're right, because making that comparison now with the iPhone, again, is going to replace, might beat the device, might not beat the device, who knows, right? We're not saying that. The one thing I'll say though, at least currently with the Pixel, is I'm not too confident with some of the color choices it's done on skin tones this year. You know, I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just that I haven't really compared it. So it's a bit interesting that it looks like they've changed some things, you know, that I'm normally used to. But in general, the photos have been still really good. Especially, like I said, I've been taking a lot of photos with family and friends coming over. I haven't really done anything outside, but it's been good. It's, you know, Pixel does a good job with photos. So I think in this day and age, to be fair, if you do a bad job with photos for a flagship, you shouldn't be making a flagship. Honestly, that's just the
No, but this is the challenge, isn't it? It's like everybody takes good photos, but then it's like, okay, who's got the edge, right? Now, obviously, I think Google tries to get the edge with, you know, try to stand out with all of the features, like, you know, with AdMe and Video Boost and things like that. That's what they try to use to kind of stand out. Samsung tries to stand out with, you know, the extended zoom and things like that. So obviously everybody's just trying to like find their own niche and try to highlight. But again, that camera comparison will hopefully come soon in the next you know, month or so. Now, one of the things that I definitely need to touch on is the price, because the price has increased. However, having said that, it is still lower compared to the flagships like the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, right? Okay, so it's still about, in the UK, it's about £150 less compared to the S24 Ultra, for instance, and in the US, I think it's about $200 less, right? So yes, the price has increased, but it is still lower compared to the other flagships. So that's something to keep in mind too.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I think the biggest thing this year is that there are now 3 pixels to pick from: a Pixel 9, 9 Pro, and 9 Pro XL. And what I'll find interesting is which is the odd one out, which is the one that most people will go like, not worth picking up. You know, that's my most interesting aspect out of the 3.
I think so. Here's the thing. Here's what I think, right? Is the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Okay, there you go. And then you've got the Pixel 9, which are the two sort of extremes. Then you've got the Pixel 9 Pro, which is the device that has pretty much everything, right? It just has a smaller screen and a slightly smaller battery that you've got on the Pro XL. It's just smaller, right? Now, the thing is, as far as I'm aware, like even if you take the iPhone, for example, when you look at the iPhone 15 Pro and the Pro Max, as far as I'm aware, they sell more Pro Maxes than the Pros, right? Okay,
yeah.
Because you either want a cheap phone that does pretty much everything, but you know is not too expensive, right? Or you want to go for the everything. You want to go for the big daddy, right? So that's the thing. So the one in between kind of gets like a little bit forgotten, should we say? Now there will be, don't get me wrong, there is a niche of people who want, okay, I don't want a big phone, I want it to do everything else. That's fine. I just think that you're going to sell more, Google are going to sell more Pixel 9s and more Pixel 9 Pro XLs compared to the Pixel 9 Pro. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, now let's talk about the TeamPixel controversy, right? Because this is something that was like, it blew up, like it was everywhere, right? So just to give people context, if you've not really been keeping in touch, but there's a program that Google has, which is TeamPixel, and it essentially gets pixels into the hands of content creators. I was going to say influencers, but you know, content creators of all sorts, right? Not necessarily tech, lifestyle, family, etc., right? Now, what they had new this year is that anybody who was getting a Pixel from the TeamPixel program would have to opt in. And there was a leaked screenshot that somebody shared, and the title of it was Brand Love, right? By opting into this program, do you acknowledge that you are expected to feature the Google Pixel device in place of any competitor mobile devices? Please note that if it appears other brands are being preferred over the Pixel, we will need to cease the relationship between the brand and the creator, right? And this blew up. people were saying that Google is trying to control reviews. They're trying to get positive reviews and things like that, which I believe is completely incorrect, right? Okay. But there was this whole thing around it. And then, Google actually came back with a response around it. But let's kind of just, before we look at Google's response, let's kind of discuss. I think what the problem was that a lot of people misunderstood what the TeamPixel program was. And, there's blame on all sides here, right? The TeamPixel program was supposed to be a program to, again, get pixels into the hands of content creators. So they talk about it, they use it, and it creates a buzz, right? So it's like kind of like an organic. There's no real pay. There's nothing paid. It's just gifted, and you're supposed to use hashtag gift from Google, etc., right? Now the confusion I think happened was because this TeamPixel program also was starting to be used to get pixels into the hands of reviewers, right? Okay, so tech reviewers who will objectively review devices because they maybe were not getting the pixels from the review team, right? So they weren't getting pixels. So it's like, okay, they start getting from the TeamPixel, which was much easier to get hold of, right? So that's where this real confusion happens. And that's where I think, it really kind of, the communication lines got faded.
Yeah, I blame Google fully, the whole thing. I mean, I was going to parse it, but I think it's because, number one, Google has not had a consistent reviewer program from the onset. It's changed in so many different ways. And that program has, especially for their devices, it's very touch and go. And then TeamPixel, again, like you said, is for influencers and content creators to show love. But here's the thing. I was part of TeamPixel. Their language initially was not like this either. So again, it's still on them. And the one thing to do is when you're changing language right before a launch, right? Really hyper scrutinizes it, as opposed to if you sent this in June and said, here are some new updates to TeamPixel and what we're trying to do moving forward, right? This is before launch. The other aspect to this is that, like you said, TeamPixel had become the best avenue for any creator. You don't even have to be, not even tech, but if you really wanted to review the device, you could be a lifestyle creator, but you're like, you know what, I want to cover smartphones. I want to showcase it from a lifestyle angle, right? You still review it. The only way for you to get that device was through TeamPixel, or you bought the device. Like it's, those were your two options.
Yeah.
There's not, the review program wasn't on point. Then you now have the aspect of right before, you're sending these devices out, when you're sending the questionnaires for people to fill out what color, all that stuff that's usually there. You're telling them, hey, you got to show some love. Also bad language written in there. It doesn't really point that out. Now, to be fair to them, they have the prerogative too, because this is something that you're gifted. But even though I still stress that you should not say stuff like, if you're not showing favoritism, because to me, you're now telling people that you're not confident enough with whatever you're pushing out, as opposed to, we would, as opposed to putting something like, we would like for you to showcase TeamPixel as much as possible.
Yes.
The more you do it, the more opportunities to work with TeamPixel. That's it. That's all you have to say.
I agree. So here's the thing, right? So firstly, I think the aspect that a lot of people are forgetting is that a lot of these content creators are getting a free $1,000 phone, right? Or £1,000 phone. That's not just like, hey. And if somebody's going to get one and then they're literally going to post a story with it or something and then stick it on eBay and go back to using their iPhone, which is what a lot of influencers do, right? Okay. A lot of influencers, 100% iPhone users, and then all of these other brands will pay them millions of dollars, right, to promote their product, but they'll go straight away back to using whatever, right? Okay.
Not here. Just say. I said,
no, but that's what I'm saying.
Like, send me the money. Send me the money.
Yeah, but like, there was, there's been so many situations where, you've seen, before when on Twitter, when you could see where, people had posted from, and then Marquez exposed a few people and stuff like that. But my point is that, that happens a lot, right? Okay. Yeah. Now, obviously, if it's a paid partnership, you can stipulate that. Do not show any others, boom. Like, that's absolutely acceptable. Now, this is slightly different because, hey, you're gifting something, right? So obviously, if somebody's going to do that, then if I'm a brand here, if I'm Google here, I'm like, okay, so this person has literally just not used the Pixel whatsoever, and they've just gone back to using their iPhone. Guess what? We're not going to carry on using them again, right? Okay, we're not going to send them Pixels because it's a waste for us, right? They're not really giving us any benefit per se, right? Okay, I agree with you that the wording was wrong, and then Google did respond, and then they essentially said this. They said TeamPixel is a distinct program separate from our press and creator review programs. The goal of TeamPixel is to get Pixel devices into the hands of content creators, not press and tech reviewers. We missed the mark with this new language that appeared in the TeamPixel form yesterday, and it has been removed, right? So, okay, good ownership. They put their hands up, right? Again, I agree, the wording should have been completely different, and it is one of those things that internally they should be reviewing. Okay, we sent this to this X, Y, and Z person, right? Who just has gone straight back to using another phone, right? Okay, so we're not really going to be sending it back to them. But also the other thing that Google needs to do is improve their reviewer program, right? Because I'll give you a perfect example. The Google Pixel 8a, which was out a few months ago. Nobody from the UK got one, right? Okay, we didn't even know it was coming, right? It's just suddenly like, oh, there's a new device, right? And then I've got so many people saying, oh, Saf, why are you not covering the Pixel 8a? And I'm like thinking, yeah, I can go and buy one now, but like my video is going to be so much later than everybody else's, and I have a million other things to do, so I'm just not going to bother, right? Okay, but it's just like, how was that missed? You completely missed reviewers with tens of millions of followers in total combined in a particular region who have an international audience, and that was just completely like, how do you miss that? Like, I just don't understand. How do you miss that? Like, oh no, we need to get them review devices ASAP so they can cover our devices. Like, where is that? Completely missed off, right? So as I said, I did not cover the Pixel 8a. I would have liked to have covered it, okay? And don't get me wrong, I'm not like somebody, oh, they didn't send me one, so I'm not going to cover it. I'm not crying out here, yeah? I could have gone and bought one. It just wasn't worth my while because it's not a flagship device, right? A Pixel 8a, yes, there's interest for it, but it's not something that I'm going to go out of my way for to cover because guess what? I've got 20 other things to do at the same time, right? So I'm not going to prioritize that because my coverage would have been super late anyway, right? So this is the thing. So yes, the language was wrong. They've put their hands up. Perfect. Okay, the TeamPixel program I still think is very beneficial. And I personally know lots of people who are in the TeamPixel program who actually use the Pixels all the time and they absolutely love them. They're always posting with them. And that is a brilliant, that is the best marketing you can get. Like in terms of organic marketing, you send somebody something, they use it genuinely, right? And you are getting way more than that $1,000 worth of that smartphone in return for like posts and stuff, which they're doing out of like their own choice. They're not like being forced to do it or anything like that. But having said that, the review program definitely needs to have a review.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's two things. You're right. One, review program needs to be properly fleshed out and expanded. And two, the TeamPixel program needs to be not revamped, but just basically better fine-tuned. Number one, like you mentioned, you have to do an annual audit of who's covering our devices, right? Fine, okay, this person here, we gave them a Pixel, and yes, they may be doing comparisons, but at least they're showcasing the device constantly, right? With it, cool, we'll send them again. This guy, he did one video. Done. That's it. Unless that one video, of course, did a lot of big numbers and you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense, right? And then this other person didn't do anything. Maybe took one or two pictures and done. No, I'm sorry, you're out, next year.
Because they put it on eBay. Like that's a given. Yeah. They've literally just been like, oh, brilliant, I got a free phone. All right, take a couple of pictures. All right, stick it on eBay. And so it's like, then that is pointless. Like that's something that, as a brand, you just don't want.
Yeah, exactly. Those audits need to happen because then, and again, remember, this is, especially with the rise of TikTok, there are other content creators out there who really want to actually check out these devices and use them and, showcase at least their talents and what they can do. There are new people. Like I said, there's plenty of fish in the sea. You throw some others out, you get some new ones and you can showcase the Pixel. And that's what TeamPixel needs to do and not send, because the language is really not needed. It's just say, look, TeamPixel wants you to show TeamPixel love as often as possible. So if you want to stay part of TeamPixel, keep showing the love. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
That's it. And again, you know, I'm not. You get ChatGPT, get Google Gemini to write it for you, man. Like, change the tone of this message, make it sound a little bit more friendly, so it just doesn't come across as threatening or anything like that. Like,
I don't think TeamPixel was on the subscription plan.
Yeah, that's what we need to figure out. Okay, all right. We're going to be finishing off with the Apple event, right? So it's next week, September the 9th on a Monday, right? Let me just say, everybody got it wrong. I got it wrong.
I did.
You got it wrong. All of the, because here's the thing, right? You're going to think I'm an absolute geek, which I am, right? But I literally have a spreadsheet with every iPhone event over the past like 10 years and exactly what day it was. And based on that, I can pretty accurately predict when the next one's going to be. And I have been bang on for the past, I would say, 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years. I've been, pretty much bang on. I'll message Enabong and he will actually ask me, he's like, when is it going to be? And I'll be like, I've not looked at any leaks or rumors. This is purely based on my own research of every single event. And that's because Apple always have their iPhone event either on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. That's it, right? Okay. It's never on a Monday. Obviously, WWDC, that's different. That starts on a Monday and then it carries on throughout the week and stuff like that. I'm talking in particular, just specifically iPhone events. They're either Tuesday or Wednesday. Suddenly, they did it on the 9th of September, which is a Monday. Now, this makes sense because 10 years ago, on the 9th of September, is when the Apple Watch was introduced, right? So, to me, it seems like it kind of marks the 10-year anniversary, and that tells me that we are going to be getting potentially an Apple Watch Series 10, or they're going to call it an Apple Watch X or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought about that. My own reason for why they moved it, this goes political, is because the first debate between the two candidates are on the 10th. And even though it's later on that night, it means that all news coverage for that day is solely focused on that.
Fair enough.
So I think it's a combination of, I think I do agree with you that 10th anniversary is most likely very key. And the team just looked at me like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. We'll just move it that way.
Thumbs up. It's all good. Well, some of the kind of, like, we've just got slight bit of leaks and rumors that we're just going to touch on. It's smart. It could have a thinner design, slightly larger screen options as well. But with the watch, obviously we're going to see a bit more of that when it comes out. But I think the main sort of thing that people want to know is about the iPhones, right? Okay, so we're obviously going to get 4 new iPhones. It's going to be the iPhone 16, the 16 Plus, the 16 Pro, and the 16 Pro Max, right? What's interesting is what we're seeing based on the analyst Ming Chi Ko, whose name I'm probably saying completely wrong, is that the 16 Pro will now come with 5x optical zoom camera. So it's not just going to be exclusive to the Pro Max, it's also going to now come to the Pro, which currently the iPhone 15 Pro has 3x, the iPhone 15 Pro Max has 5x, right? Okay. Also, the ultra-wide cameras are rumored to have a significant bump up from 12 megapixels to 48 megapixels. To be honest, when it comes to the ultra-wide camera on the iPhones, they're good, but I would say in comparison to others, I've always preferred others because, I think the hardware on the Apple side of things hasn't really changed much for the ultra-wide camera. So that's also going to be something that's interesting. Obviously, iOS 18 and, the glow time hint is, some people are saying is around Siri because it could be, Siri arriving with iOS 18, which, kind of has that glowing border around whenever it is summoned. So that's something that kind of hints towards that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's a hint. To me, it's not a very sensible hint just because people are running around with the beta already at this point in time for iOS 18. And we've seen some of the Apple Intelligence features kind of go through. I think that's the biggest thing, is that it's going to be showcased to the world. Everyone's going to see what that actually looks like. I think also colors. We've seen some hinted colors that are quite striking and different. So I think that's also going to be a very big thing there. I'm also hoping for an upgrade to the AirPods Max. Maybe the AirPods, not the AirPods Pro, because the Pro have been recently upgraded. And they've been fine-tuning that more to do software. Some people have said iPads, but that's a October thing usually in this case.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a lot of Siri, Apple Intelligence focus there, seeing what they bring to the table and the fact that you are not paying a subscription yet for this. I think when that subscription comes in, it will be part of Apple One. That Apple One package. I think that's where Apple will go with that, just because you still have Apple TV, you have cloud, you now have, Siri Plus or whatever they want to call it. At that point, whenever they want to do that, will be there. But I think this is the big focus here of showcasing that Siri can have conversational relatability, as well as also being able to just be smarter than what it is now at this point. I think that's going to be big. And then for the cameras, do you think they're going to change the main cameras, or still be the same, or just maybe some lenses or other things that are just changed? Because I think
there'll be some tweaks. I don't think they're going to be going like crazy 200 megapixels or anything like that as yet. Anyway, I think this is not me basing on rumors. This is just basing on my own predictions. There are, like Mark Gurman has said that, we are likely to see 2 new AirPods models, so that'll be good for you, Enabunk. Lots of views for you doing the comparisons with the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. With AirPods Max, and then new Apple AirPods with USB-C charging, maybe shorter stems as well. So we'll be seeing what comes up there, and potentially some new colors as well. So we are obviously going to be doing lots of coverage straight from Cupertino. Myself and E will both be there, God willing, inshallah, next week. So
yes,
we're all prepping for that. So make sure you subscribe to both of the channels, and then we will also be doing our coverage, of, I was going to say Techtember, but I don't know. It kind of seems like this Techtember is just, the focus is Apple, right? With the iPhone launch and stuff. But because everything else is kind of moved around, I'm not sure if there are any of the big.
No, I don't think any big, because also, again, I think this year everybody has decided to kind of move away, but I think Techtober is still going to happen, because I believe the reason I'm saying that is, one is Samsung, and just because at Z Fold event, the head of Android and Pixel stated that they will be making a wearable, an AR wearable with Samsung, and the best time to launch it is October. Right? It's not necessarily November. And of course, there'll be other manufacturers who have announcements. And we have Qualcomm with Snapdragon Summit.
In October,
which means all Chinese manufacturers will be making a Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 device by the end of October.
That is madness.
So it's going to be busy.
I almost completely forgot about IFA.
And then the Zephyr too, as well.
Yeah, so there's going to be there's some stuff in IFA right now that's coming up like pretty much this week, but I think it's way too close to the Apple event this year. IFA is, but obviously there's going to be some stuff over there as well. But it kind of seems like after that, I don't know of anything else that's coming later in September. So maybe we can just focus on our Apple coverage without being here, there, and everywhere. But lots of exciting times ahead. So once again, if you want to see all of the updates, which we will be covering, then do consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, SuperSaf Speaks, and then also following on your favorite podcast platform. And also do drop us a rating so more people can get to listen to the podcast. That's been episode number 39. Thanks for watching and listening. This is your host, SuperSaf, with my co-host,
Thunder E from Board at Work.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.